Excellencies, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a pleasure for me to speak at this event, which brings together the high-level panel on water investments for Africa and ambassadors on the sidelines of the 7th Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly of Heads of State and Government here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at ground zero as far as the climate crisis is concerned. As we know, Africa is the least responsible for the causal factors of the crisis, but it is the continent most vulnerable to its effects, as confirmed by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Without urgent and resolute action, climate change will affect every aspect of life in Africa, and its reverberations will be felt worldwide. This is why we must respond swiftly and collectively by accelerating investments in climate resilience and adaptation. Data shows our current response is inadequate. In its most recent Africa Outlook report, the African Development Bank estimates that Africa needs around $2.8 trillion or $250 billion a year by 2030 to implement its climate action ambitions. The actual, or rather sadly, the actual climate finance inflows into Africa were just $29.5 billion for the year between 2019 and 2020. In Africa, we live climate change through water catastrophes. In the past year, the continent experienced over 20 flood disasters, the worst of which killed over 11,000 people in Derna, Libya. We have tropical cyclones, which are increasing in frequency, and we have frequent droughts. The worst drought in 40 years is impacting almost 30 million people right here in the Horn of Africa as we speak. This is why, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about investing in climate resilience for Africa, we talk about investing in water security and sustainable sanitation. Ladies and gentlemen, an additional $30 billion per annum must be invested in Africa's water sector by 2030. Without these additional investments in Africa, Africa will not be able to meet the demands exerted by our fast-growing and urbanizing population and in the context of climate change. Our water investment gap is huge and growing. Therefore, we call on leaders, both at home here in the continent and in the global north, to mind the gap and invest in water. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, over the course of last year, the African Union Commission, with support from the International High-Level Panel on Water Investments for Africa, released 2 key documents identifying 9 sources of financing and funding that may be tapped to close the water investment gap, as well as 5 actions that must be prioritized to unlock the money. The first of these publications, called Africa's Rising Investment Tide, was launched during the United Nations 2023 Water Conference in New York in March last year. The second, the Africa Water Investments Action Plan, was launched at the COP28 in Dubai, UAE in December 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, African governments should play a pivotal leadership role in creating an environment that enables investment in water security and climate-resilient sanitation. On behalf of the high-level panel, of which I am the alternate co-chair, I urge leaders of African governments to join hands with Pan-African institutions, development partners from the global north, as well as the private sector, in order to put the following priorities. First, prioritize continental and country-level platforms that match funding sources to investment. Two, commit to long-term strengthening of the enabling environment and increasing the bankability of service providers and projects. Three, create the legal and regulatory environment that promotes water stewardship amongst commercial water users. Four, enable African governments to access cheaper capital for water and sanitation. And last but not least, number 5, strengthen data and information systems so that progress can be monitored and evaluated. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the high-level panel welcomes African Union's Africa Water Investment Program, multi-country Global Climate Fund Readiness Program that will be presented during today's event. The program will support African Union member states to access climate finance to take climate actions in implementing their nationally determined contributions and national adaptation plans. The high-level panel report estimated that an additional $3.2 billion per annum in climate finance can be unlocked with adequate coordination, preparation, and initiative. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to close by reminding that moments of great risk are also moments of great opportunity. While we understand the risks faced by Africa in the face of climate change, let us also remember the opportunities. One, our economies are growing fast. Two, our population is young, and with youth comes energy and innovation. Three, we are rich in natural resources. And four, we are perfectly primed to benefit from green technologies such as solar and hydropower. I would like to end by saying that achieving water security and sustainable sanitation for all in Africa by 2030 is possible, and it is in our power. I thank you.